And I'm your host. Revive, my friends, to score the votes.
Anyone who's followed my channel way back to 2015 remember when I first unveiled my virtual pinball cabinet called Pincadia. This cabinet was different than most in that it could play virtual pinball games, but it could also play arcade games due to having an arcade control panel on the apron area. I would make videos showing off how cool all the various different pinball games would look, but I also surprised a lot of people when I showed them how really cool it would be to play arcade games, horizontal ones specifically, on a pinball cabinet. Over time, the control panel would evolve from a 2-player down to a 1-player control panel. I would then start to add more things to the cabinet, such as feedback options. This would involve things like a shaker motor, solenoids, exciters, and then I would also add controlled lighting, and what I'm most well known for is addressable LEDs. This resulted in me being interested in learning how to program tables to add this feedback and animated lighting, and as a result I became very involved in the virtual pinball community, and things progressed from there. And then now you can see my cabinet no longer has an arcade control panel, and I added a modern display on the apron and changed the displays on the back as well. So you may be wondering, why then am I reviewing the AtGames Legends Pinball cabinet? AtGames approached me wondering if I would be interested in trying a Legends Pinball for myself and to share my own experiences with it in a video. At first I wasn't sure I was interested, however I started to read more and more about the product and watch some other reviews about it, realizing that this is a popular product that will appeal to many people who simply want to get into virtual pinball. I have a unique perspective given that I've gone through the many pains of building a cabinet from scratch over the years. I've added different versions of an arcade control panel. I'm also very knowledgeable with the various types of virtual pinball software out there, and I've created my own tables and mods, so I know what it takes to create virtual pinball games. I feel I can give a well-rounded perspective of this kind of product. AtGames has sent me a Legends Pinball and its add-on accessories and games to play around with. All they've asked is for me to give my own honest opinions and experiences with it in a video. So I'd like to take a moment to thank AtGames for this opportunity, as I was quite excited to see what the Legends Pinball has to offer. So let's jump right in and start the very first Terry Red View video. And here's a quick summary of the hardware features of the cabinet. The playfield is a 32-inch high-definition monitor running at 1920 by 1080 at 60 Hz. The back glass monitor is 15.6 inches, also running at 1920 by 1080 at 60 Hz. It features real glass over top of the playfield, and the back glass has plexiglass. The back box has built-in stereo speakers. The cabinet has a real spring-loaded precision plunger, 2 flipper buttons, and 2 nudge buttons on the sides. It has tactile feedback through the use of exciters, and it also has accelerometers, which supports real nudging action. As far as connections to the cabinet, we have HDMI input, USB 2 and 3 inputs, Wi-Fi connection, Ethernet connection, and Bluetooth. The Legends Pinball comes with 22 games included. These are a collection of classic Gottlieb tables such as Class of 1812, Black Hole, Haunted House, Teed Off, Wipeout, and many more. You are not limited only to these tables, however. The Legends Pinball has the capability to download more tables and store them on a USB storage device. You can buy these tables online on their store, and these include the Zaccaria Table Collection Volume 1 to 5 and the newest release, the Taito Pinball Table Volume 1. There are optional accessories you can purchase for the Legends Pinball. The first is the VIBS, or the Video Input Backglass Switchboard. This allows you to connect a second HDMI video source that can be displayed on your back glass, and then you can switch back and forth between this video source and the Legends Pinball back glass. You can also purchase the arcade control panel add-on. This comes complete with a digital joystick, 6 buttons, and a trackball. Both of these accessories will be covered in more detail in separate videos. The Legends Pinball comes in 2 separate boxes, one for the main cabinet and one for the back box. The back box comes with a generous amount of padding to ensure there will be no damage. The main cabinet was easy to remove, and as you can see here, it is also like the back box, surrounded with an enormous amount of packing material to ensure there will be no damage. There are 4 legs you will have to install, and using a wrench, you can adjust the bottom so that you can have the height to what you desire. Each leg is easily installed using the included bolts and Allen key. Place the back box on top of the cabinet, and then use the included key to get full access to the back of the cabinet and the inside of the back box. Use the included 4 wing nut bolts to easily fasten down the back box securely to the cabinet. Follow the install instructions to connect 2 cables from the main cabinet to the back box, taking particular gentle care with the ribbon cable. Some newer versions of the cabinet may have an HDMI cable adapter, which is much easier to install than the ribbon cable method. At the back of the unit, you plug in the power cable and your Ethernet cable for online internet access. Once the cabinet is in position, it can be powered on with a switch in the front bottom of the cabinet. And here is the Legends Pinball up and running. Here you can get an idea of the size and scale next to my custom pinball cabinet, which was built to the Williams wide body specification. And on the back box you can see they have the Legends Pinball marquee lit up with LED lighting. On the main cabinet you can see there is nice painted black finished metal trimmings all along the sides, as well as under the glass all around the playfield screen. And then on the bottom you can see we have a nice lockdown bar with rounded corners that makes for comfortable long play sessions. Along the side of the back box you can see the nice Gottlieb artwork, and that continues down along the main cabinet sides as well. On the side you have our 2 buttons. The red buttons are for our flippers and the white buttons are for digital nudge. Above the lockdown bar we have a D-pad used for menu navigation. In the front we have a simulated coin door with a start and menu button. On the left you have a back button and a forward nudge button, and on the right of course we have the plunger. The plunger uses full analog controls with great precision that is very responsive. The built-in accelerometers allow the cab to be shaken to give you full analog nudging controls. The 32-inch HD display runs at a smooth 60 frames per second with very good viewing angles. The 15.6-inch back glass is also running at native HD at 60 Hz and also has great color with good viewing angles. The back panel has multiple buttons and input ports. The HDMI input is used for connecting a video output from a PC or similar device to be displayed on the playfield monitor. The blue USB 3 port is used to add expandable storage for installing additional games. The USB 2 port is used for connecting a gamepad for arcade net gaming or to connect to a PC to allow the Legends Pinball cabinet controls to be used on a PC. The channel button is used to switch between the Legends Pinball native display and the HDMI video source, which is shown on the playfield monitor. On the right side, there are 2 buttons to control the main volume. The Legends Pinball has an impressive variety of features and settings you can navigate through on its menu system. I highly recommend updating the firmware first before doing anything else to be sure you're running the latest version of the system software and games. Some of the system settings you'll find here are Wi-Fi, parental controls, wireless pairing for Bluetooth devices such as headphones, user interface preferences, a track mode, startup page, clock, flash drive and data management. There are also pinball-specific settings such as volume controls for master, FX, and music, flipper button settings, and backbox size settings. The BYOG, or Bring Your Own Game feature, allows you to add additional arcade games that can be installed by the user on a USB storage device and played natively on the Legends Pinball without the need of a PC or other device. These can be played using the cabinet controls or preferably with the arcade control panel add-on. I'll talk more about this feature in a separate arcade control panel video, but for now, a good example of this feature can be seen on Wagner's Tech Top channel. AtGames refers to the Legends Pinball as Connected Pinball. This not only means you can purchase more games online to play, but there are other online features and services you can enjoy, such as live streaming, voice chat, online leaderboards, and ArcadeNet. ArcadeNet is AtGames' paid subscription service that allows you to stream and play additional games on your Legends Pinball without the need of a PC. There are a nice selection of future pinball tables, Scottywick's Pizza Time on VPX, and more. You can also use the local network streaming feature to stream and play PC games from another PC connected to your local network. It's highly recommended to use a wired network connection instead of Wi-Fi for optimal performance when using any of the network features. Navigating the tables menu is simple enough using the D-pad and selecting with the start button. You can filter what is shown and also create your own favorites list. After the table is loaded, you can bring up another menu to view lots of information about the table, and you can even view flyers. You can change many settings for the table, such as audio settings, accelerometer calibration and sensitivity for nudging, controls, backbox size settings, and haptic feedback level settings. All of these can be set on a per table basis, but it can also have global settings as well. Now that I've talked all about the cabinet, I'm going to show you a few gameplay examples of the included Gottlieb tables.
Shoot the ball. Use the flippers to see.
You guys ready?
All set.
Set, and roll.
Round and right round. Get the ball up the ramp there.
And now a few examples of the Zaccaria Volume 1 to 4 tables that you can purchase from the AtGames store.
Pay attention. Once more.
Get ready.
Oh no! Better luck next time. Combo. Don't move. Double combo. Triple combo. Yes! Super combo. Super combo.
Now I'll show you a couple examples of Zaccaria Volume 5 Deluxe tables. Now I'll show a few examples of the newest pack you can purchase, Taito Volume 1. And now I'll show you a few examples of Visual Pinball, Future Pinball, and Pinball FX3 being played on a PC using the OTG option on the Legends Pinball.
Skill shot. Nice. powerful. Stretch out with your feet.
I want you as a statue. Let's see what you can do against the dangerous Hydra.
Help me escape, stranger! Shoot the snake! Hurry up, stranger!
Now that I've given you an idea of what the Legends Pinball has to offer, I'll give you my thoughts and experiences after using it for about a week.
Alright everyone, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the things I didn't like or any issues I had so far using the Legends Pinball, and then I'll talk about things, my own preferences I'd like to see changed, and then I'll talk about all the positives at the end. So first thing I'll talk about is the displays. They're actually great displays, great color, you know, very good viewing angles, they look really nice. You just can't make any adjustments to them. So you can't do any color adjustment. You can't change the HDMI black level to low, which might give you more popping colors. So that, you know, I mean, it's not unusual for this kind of product to not have access to that kind of stuff, but it would have been nice to have like some kind of control panel in the back that let you change some of those things, and that would have been really nice. The haptics. So the haptics are two exciters located on the panel here and here. They're not huge exciters, and they don't need to be. This is a mid-sized cab, and I mean, they do a job just fine, because when your hand is here, you'll feel them just fine. Problem is, they're not discrete. It's not discrete feedback. What I mean by that is, you're going to have the sound from the game coming out of the back box speakers, which sound okay. Those sound just fine, but basically the sound is going to be filtered down to the exciters, and you'll hear mostly the thumps, you know, and feel it, I should say, from the flippers and the bumpers. Like, that's what you're going to mostly feel down there, and it does an okay job of that. I mean, it's adequate enough for the built-in gains that it has and everything, but it's not discrete feedback. And anyone who's ever played on Visual Pinball or my Pin Event releases on Future Pinball, that surround sound feedback is absolutely discrete, and you only hear the mechanical sounds out of the exciters, nothing else, and then the game only on the back box. And this doesn't quite do that. It's adequate, but it's not discrete. And the other issue with the haptics is you may need to fine-tune each table. They're not going to come out of the box exactly the way you want, and that's going to be on a personal basis and all that, but the community has some good settings that you can use that seem to do a much better job than what you get out of the box. And because the problem with that is, if it's too loud, you'll get some rattling coming out of here and here. It'll just be too loud. So that's one issue you might find right off the bat. But with some fine-tuning, it can be much better. When using the PC via OTG, so right now I have my PC hooked up via HDMI and USB, which allows me to use my test PC here and play PC pinball games displayed on the play field, and then I'll have the sound via HDMI coming out of the back box speakers. But the problem is, some of the game sound from that also will get filtered down to the exciters, and it's not meant to work that way. It's not designed to work that way. Now, that being said, for some games it's actually kind of nice. It's kind of like almost like a low frequency effect subwoofer kind of a thing going on there. But for some games, you're going to get sounds coming out of there you don't want to come out of there. So it's going to vary depending on your games and the kind of sound that comes out. So the next one will be, all right, yeah. So since we're talking about the panel back here, yeah, I think I'm not the only one who agrees. These two ports here are an eyesore, because even with a right-angled cable, which I don't have right now, no matter what you do, this is an eyesore. You know, having this just stick out, no matter what you do, it just doesn't look great. I understand there are other products use a similar layout, so it makes sense for those products to have it, but for this one, no. This should be, at least these two ports as a minimum for OTG, should be located on the back of the cab. It would be so much better, you know, it just would not be an eyesore at all. So that's one thing I would really like to see change. The accelerometer. So the accelerometer for nudging works great for the native games. It does exactly what it needs to, and I love it. Like, the cab's a mid-size, so it's easy to shake around and nudge. Problem is, at least currently, this may change in the future, When using the PC via OTG, you cannot get the accelerometer nudging analog controls to work on the PC. Nothing happens. You see the X and Y axis in the controller settings in Windows, but nothing happens. So far, that's the case. I'm hoping in an update they're going to fix that and make the analog nudging work on PC via OTG. So that may possibly happen. They are aware of that, by the way. So let's just hope that gets sorted out. The last major thing, and this can be a big issue for some people, for others it may not be an issue at all. When playing with your PC connected via OTG, like I'm showing you there, and using the cabinet's controls on the PC, it works fine, but there's just a very, very slight delay between pushing your button and the flipper response on the screen. Now, it's not an issue with the screen itself. We know because the native games are instant, fast. They respond very quickly. On Visual Pinball, though, specifically, especially ROM-based tables, you might find a bit of a delay. And for some people, that can be, if they're really sensitive to that, that could be an issue. For Future Pinball and Pinball FX 3, I was able to get those ones playing much better. Those ones are mostly fine, but in Visual Pinball, for tables like an original table like Scotty Wick's Pizza Time, it's a lot better. But for ROM-based tables, there is a significant delay for now. That may possibly get changed in the future. It's what I've noticed on my personal setup so far. So for some people, that's not a problem. For me, I've been using my custom cabinet for so long, so I notice it right away, whereas others may not notice. So it's something to be aware of. It may get resolved in the future. Well, let's hope. Let's talk about the Gottlieb tables that are included with the Legends Pinball. You get 22 of them, and it's actually a pretty good selection. It's a nice, well-rounded selection, you know. So, I mean, you're getting a good amount of tables included with this unit. The problem is they are basically a port from the Pinball Arcade versions that you may have played on the PC. Now, the issue is those are old, and you know, they're okay. I mean, they're decent enough recreations. I'm not saying you won't have fun with them. The problem is because they're old ports, old conversions, some of the graphics, some of the visuals, like the textures on the playfield or the plastics, are not the best. Some of them are okay. Some tables are not bad, but some of them, yeah, they're just not the best looking, and there's no form of dynamic lighting or shadows at all whatsoever. So it just comes across as looking old. It does the job fine. You'll have fun playing them for the most part. I mean, the physics are a little odd, you know, at times, and you're talking to a guy who likes Future Pinball, and so what's that tell you? I mean, Future Pinball can also have some odd physics, but you know, it's just, it could be done better is all I'm trying to say, and it's not the best example of what the Legends Pinball can do. And I'll talk more about that when I get into the Zaccaria tables, I should say, that are a much better example of what a table can look like on this Legends Pinball. The dislikes or the issues. Now we'll talk about my own personal preferences that I'd like to see, you know, in future revisions. Well, first of all, this is just a personal thing. I highly suggest getting furniture movers for the legs. That way you can move this sucker back and forth nice and easy when wanting to shake and nudge it. Compared to my gigantic friggin' mammoth of a cab, I can't shake that thing to save my life. It is way too heavy. So I gotta tell you, I really like having a mid-sized cab that I can shake around easily for nudging. I actually really like that. The legs, they look fine. I mean, like some people, you know, want them to be chrome or whatever. I mean, they look close enough to like a regular pinball leg. I just wish they were painted to match the rest of the trim, because I actually like this trim, this finish. I just wish it matched with that. A lot of people tend to paint these anyway to whatever color they want, so that may not be a big deal to you, but out of the box, I really would have preferred seeing those match. It would look so much better. It would be really sharp. The buttons on the side. So, your flipper buttons, well, all your buttons, but your flipper buttons, so they do use a micro switch, but they're not a super clicky micro switch. However, a leaf switch is what everyone would really like for pinball use. It's a huge difference. They're much more responsive, but I will say these aren't as bad as normal, really heavy-duty arcade clicky buttons. They're a nice kind of in-between. I would like to see, if not a leaf switch, then a micro leaf switch, which is what I actually use in my cabinet. It's kind of an in-between, you know, and it works fine, but that would be that'd be a really nice option to have. Drop my paper here. Give me a second here. All right. Next, we're going to talk about the haptics. So the issues I mentioned before about how some sounds come out of here and we have no control when using the PC to stop that. It'd be nice to have some kind of separate volume knob that we could maybe adjust the haptics on our own. And I know some guys will just put their own in, and it's simple enough, but it would be nice to have a built-in volume knob to control all that. The cabinet itself, I'm okay with most of the look of the cabinet. I really wish, though, the cabinet was deeper, like to be more similar and proportional to what a normal cabinet would look like. It would look better, and on top of that, you'd have a little more space inside for if people wanted to do mods or, you know, throw a bunch of feedback hardware in there and a PC or whatever else they want to throw in there. The back box is okay. You know, I do wish the monitor was a little bit bigger, like maybe 19 inches. This is 15.6 inches, which is comparable to like a real Stearns display in the middle of the back box there, and it looks fine. The screen is actually nice. A little bit bigger would have been nice, but it's still, the fact that this one includes one compared to its similar competitors out there, it's still way better than having nothing up there at all. And the next one we'll talk about is a launch button. So may not be a big deal for some people. I'm used to having an actual launch button by my plunger. Now we do have the buttons here that can be used, and I know some people will just use, you know, say this button as your launch button, or if you want to, you know, use some PC software for PC gaming, you know, you can kind of make it so that when you smack the plunger, it acts as a button. But it would be nice to have some kind of like dedicated launch button over here, and maybe move the plunger over just slightly to allow that to fit there. The key on the back panels. So the back panel for the back box in the cabinet, you have that lovely key that you get to open and close that with. I have that on mine as well, and honestly, I hate that. I actually have a T-handle replacement. I just haven't gotten around to installing it yet. Those keys go missing, and we're not going to see it on the back, so it would be really nice to have that replaced with just a simple T-handle. So that way, you know, it's easy to open and close at any time. It's not like, you know, people are going to be going back there all the time. It's really not needed. And the last thing I would like to see, and I'll talk more about this in the separate video, is the VIBS add-on board that you can use to switch the video from your PC that connects to that add-on board. You can switch between the AtGames back glass and the PC's back glass. I would like to see that built in as part of the unit, and then have all outputs, as I mentioned before, have these two and the VIBS located on the back. All ports in the back. That way they're out of the way, you don't see them, and it's just way better. It's really the way it should be in their next revision. I'd really like to see that as one module and make it more seamless looking. And that's about it for my personal preferences, the major things that stick out to me. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things I've really enjoyed about the Legends Pinball for the time I've been playing around with it. First, how it arrived. The packing and shipping was excellent. Lots of padding, lots of shipping materials to keep it safe. No damage, no worries there. I don't think anyone will have any problems with that. The setup was extremely easy. Refreshingly easy to just get this thing up and going in like 15 minutes. You basically put on the legs, connect a couple of tables, plug in power, plug in Ethernet, you're good to go. It was so super easy. Update the firmware, you're ready to go. It was awesome. That was so super easy. I was really impressed with that. Let's look at the cabinet itself. Alright, so I really like this metal trim finish here. The black finish they have here. It's pretty similar to what you would see on a real modern full-size pin. And, you know, I personally like it. And this is coming from, you know, a guy who has, you know, chrome finishings on his cab, right? I like how it all matches. And I also really like, I don't know how well you can see it, but they have the same thing inside as well. You know, it's this angled metal finish that matches the trim, and it covers the playfield perfectly. It was the first thing that stood out to me, actually, and I really like that. And they did the same thing for the back here as well. I also really liked their little custom lockdown bar here. You know, it's not like, you know, a gigantic size because this is a mid-sized cabinet, but it's still very comfortable, like perfectly sized. And, you know, I really like the way that turned out. I like that they don't have any screws on the sides here. Yeah, they got screws in the front, you know, but I mean, that's fine. You know, it works fine. It's no different than any of the other trim that's on here. It doesn't have to be seamless to be perfect, you know. I had no problem with it. The coin door, I mean, yeah, sure, it's a fake little, you know, plastic coin door. I mean, but I mean, even on my own cab, like, that's not a legitimate real coin door. I got, you know, normally it's a big wide double one. I only put that there so I could have access inside the thing. I really didn't care about having a real coin door anyway. And the way they integrated the buttons, you know, it works fine. Like, you know, it's exactly what it needs to be. So yeah, I really like that. The rest of the cabinet, you know, it was mostly good. I mean, I already mentioned some of the things I didn't really like about the cabinet previously, but yeah, those are the things that really stood out to me on the cab. The monitors. So these monitors are actually really nice. I kind of mentioned that before. They're only HD, obviously. You can't expect 4K at this price point. Like, it's just not going to happen. But they're really nice monitors, good color, good angles. You know, like I was really surprised actually at how good the angles were. And the size is actually pretty good. Like, it's 32 inches, and it's not as small as you think it is. And it's actually kind of nice being able to just look up and see the back glass without having to, you know, crank my head compared to my other one over here. Like, if I wanted to see the back glass, I have to look way up in comparison, you know. So it's kind of nice not having to crank up your head every time just to look at a score or something like that. So yeah, I really like these monitors. They impressed me more than I thought they would. The speakers are okay. Like, you know, I mean, they're not, you know, they don't have a sub, but I mean, they work perfectly fine. They worked a lot better than I thought they would, and they do exactly what they need to do. So I was happy with those. Very happy with the extra buttons on the side well, they use them for nudge. And you can use them for nudge on PC Pinball as well, for like Future Pinball, Visual Pinball, whatever. Or if we can ever get analog nudge working on PC Pinball, you can use it for maybe like a MagnaSave or something like that. But very happy that they included those, because, you know, so many people seem to hate the idea of having a second button on the side. And well, I mean, I'm not the greatest example. I got 3 on the side of my cab, you know, so yeah, and that's when I didn't even know what I was doing when I built that like that, you know. So yeah, I really like that they have those extra buttons there. Very handy. It's better to have more than less. That's the way I think of it. The accelerometer, as I mentioned before, works fine, you know, with the native tables, the Gottlieb and the Zaccaria tables. Unfortunately, not yet. Doesn't work with the OTG option for PC pinball gameplay. I hope that changes, because it works really nice, and given the size of this cabinet, you can move this sucker around. I recommend putting the furniture movers like I mentioned before. You can move this sucker around, no problems at all. Shake it like crazy, whereas my Giganto cab over here, I can't shake that thing to save my life. So yeah, I really like that. And I'm talking about the size already. So yeah, the size of this cab. So some people, you know, may be concerned that it's a little small compared to a normal cab. Well, my cab is a Williams wide body, as I mentioned before. This is bigger than a normal real pin. It's actually a wide body, which they don't even make those anymore. So it's a monster. It's so damn big and heavy, you know. Whereas with this, I felt very comfortable playing with this, and I like the fact that I can look up and see everything without having to crank my head all the way up, like I mentioned before. The size is just right. It's not too heavy. You can easily move it around and shake it around for nudging. I was surprised how much I really like the size of this thing. So, I really like the fact that this thing has a lot of capability for what it can natively play with no PC or anything else required out of the box. So you can obviously play the included Gottlieb tables, but then, you know, all the extra tables you can purchase and download and play. They all play fantastically. The expandable storage, which I'm using right here, I got like for now, just a 32 gig thumb drive, but you can go much higher, like 256 gig if you want. And I can download all the extra stuff on there. And as well, the fact that you can install extra arcade games on there to play, you know, with no PC at all. And I haven't had a chance to test that yet, but I do got the control panel here. Then that's going to be in a separate video when I go through that, and I'll show my experiences with that. But that ability alone is fantastic. Just out of the box, you're able to play so much without extra PC hardware. It is awesome. Well, and I already touched on expandability. So the online features. Now, I'm not a big online features guy personally. I don't really do the tournaments and all that. But the fact that they're already built in and native to all the games is a big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people really love online tournaments or online high scores and all that. And this supports that right out of the box, which is fantastic. And then, of course, you have all the extra online features like ArcadeNet, which, I mean, I wouldn't use that myself that much because, you know, there's always going to be a little bit of, you know, delay or a tiny bit of lag no matter what method you use online, you know, but it's still an option there that allows you to check out some tables or other games, you know, without having to spend money on a PC to play those same kind of games. So, I mean, the online features, excellent on this thing. The updates, which goes along with the whole point that this is a connected pinball cabinet. Always on, you can have it always online, always connected. And as a result, you're able to update this thing regularly for newer games, newer firmware fixes, and AtGames seems to be pretty consistent with getting regular updates on this thing. And that's a good thing. It's like the very first thing I did was update this right off the bat, and you know, they seem to be doing regular updates, so that's awesome compared to like some other product where you buy it, if it doesn't work or there's a serious bug, well, then you're kind of screwed because you have no way to update it, and you're out of luck. So that is awesome having that. So we've talked about the Gottlieb tables that you know, I said were okay. You know, I mean, they could be fun, but you know, they could look a lot better. Well, the Zaccaria tables, the volumes 1 through 4, volume 5, and even the new Taito games, all made by Magic Pixel. When I first played the Gottlieb games, I was kind of put off by them. I was like, man, like, you know, this wouldn't like make me go, ooh, wow, when I show that off to someone. But however, the Zaccaria tables, I never played them on the PC, amazingly enough. All these years in the hobby, 6 years I think it's been, I've never actually played any yet. When I tried them on this, I was impressed. Like, it is a night and day difference between the Gottlieb tables and how the Zaccaria tables look on this thing. This thing can do impressive graphics for not even using a PC. It had like really nice simulated dynamic lights, some extremely nice dynamic shadows from the balls when you see it move around the plastics and everything. The visuals were beautifully done. Textures for the play field, beautifully done. Plastics, everything super crisp, and a really perfect POV to have the view of the cabinet fit perfect, the view of the table, I mean, fit perfectly in this cabinet. I was really impressed. Like once I saw those tables, I was like, okay, now I see what this thing is capable of. That the haptic feedback was much better on the Zaccaria tables. Just all of it, and there's so many of them that you can get. Like, geez, I think over 100 easily with all the volume packs you can get. So there's a lot of content you can buy for this table, for the Legends Pinball, depending on, you know, which one you buy, because there are some offers where they may include the Zaccaria volumes, depending on where you buy it from and when you buy it. So that's the one thing. If you're going to show this thing off, get some of the volumes 1 through 5 or the deluxe versions of the Zaccaria tables to show it off. Way more impressive than the Gottlieb tables. I mean, the Gottlieb tables are fun, but yeah, I can't say enough about the Zaccaria tables. And one more major last feature, a big selling point of this cabinet that I absolutely love is the ability to hook up a PC to the Legends Pinball and be able to play PC pinball games on it using its built-in controls, the playfield screen, and the back box monitor if you have the extra VIBS add-on board that lets you swap between the backglass video source of your PC and the Legends Pinball backglass. And of course, you can switch between the playfield video of your PC and the Legends Pinball at any time, which is fantastic. It looks great. You can see, you know, FX3 is looking fantastic on it. Future Pinball, Visual Pinball, Black Flaggers, you know, pretty much anything that has cabinet support looks great on it. You know, excellent option. Great stuff. The controls all work great. The plunger, the analog plunger works perfect in all those programs when set up right. The only issue is a couple of small things. We can't use currently, this may get fixed in the future, we can't use the analog nudge with the PC controls yet. I'm hoping that gets fixed. If not, you still have the option of using the buttons for digital nudge if you need to. The only other option was, I mentioned it earlier, was there's a tiny delay from the button pushes to what you see on screen. It's not huge, it's tiny, and for Future Pinball and FX3, you know, it seemed to be not so bad when it was set up right. Visual Pinball had a little bit more of a delay, but you know, that there may be something I haven't quite figured out yet as to what's going on, or maybe that's an update incoming. So I hope that one little thing can get sorted out. But other than that, fantastic feature. I can't speak highly enough. The fact that, you know, this cabinet at the price it's going for, with all the other features it has, and then it has that feature built in, you know, fantastic. Like none of the other similar type of products that compared to this even has anything close to that. So fantastic. And as you can see here, I've got baller installer installed. Really easy to get up and going. Looks great. Works great. You know, fantastic stuff. Love it. So yeah, if you got a spare laptop or a spare PC lying around, you know, you can plug that in. If you got a smaller one that maybe you can integrate into the cabinet, you know, lots of options. So yeah, great stuff. And finally, modding. Now, it's not something obviously I can see or show you here, but when looking at the cabinet, if you're someone who likes to tinker or someone who likes to mod, there is a lot of potential here without having to be, you know, a great woodworker or an electrical engineer or anything. You can definitely add a lot to it, whether it's the typical cabinet feedback options that, you know, you've seen me add to my cab, or the lighting. There's definitely possibilities of adding all that, or people who have you know, made custom back boxes. If you want to see some really good examples, like there's a lot of people in the community out there that have done some really crazy stuff with these cabs, but some of them are, you know, pretty straightforward. I mean, there's guys like Cool Toy who rebuilt his back box and added a new screen, and then redid the whole cabinet to like a Simpsons theme, and painted everything up. And then, of course, you got guys like Kongs R Us, who, man, that guy just went all out. He completely redecked his to a Star Trek theme and completely added a PC and every form of feedback you can imagine inside the thing, and put, you know, lots of like the Star Trek phaser in the front. Like, he just did a whole bunch of stuff. Amazing stuff. So it shows that, you know, what can be done out there, and there's some great examples to go by, and lots of people in the AtGames community to learn from and ask questions from. And of course, you also have other people in the community like Wagner's Tech Top, who I highly recommend you go to his website. Fantastic website that has great tutorials about the AtGames Legends Pinball, and he has a new one that just came out. That's a Pinup Popper Baller Installer tutorial specifically for the Legends Pinball. Really great tutorials. I highly recommend you watch his videos on his YouTube channel, and as well check out his website for all the guides. Great stuff that will make things so much easier for you as a Legends Pinball owner.
AtGames has the Legends Pinball listed on their eStore for $7.99 US, and this is a bundle that includes the Zaccaria tables volumes 1 through 4. The Zaccaria tables are normally around $200 for the volumes 1 through 4 packages, and they also have a promotion going on right now that has it listed for $749.99. In conclusion, I gotta be honest, guys, the AtGames Legends Pinball really surprised me. I found myself enjoying the cabinet. I loved all the many features it has to offer. I really like the size. Even though I've got a full-size cabinet that I love, I find this middle-sized cabinet is really nice. It's kind of a really nice middle ground. I think it's a great starter cabinet that can get lots of people into virtual pinball. It has a nice set of native games that you can choose from without the need of a PC. It has lots of features and expandability for even more pinball and arcade games that you can play. If you add the arcade control panel to it, you know, then it's kind of like a dual purpose pinball and arcade cabinet. It's got great online features, and it can be updated to fix any errors or even add more features in the future. And finally, the fact that you can connect a PC to it, I mean, that's endless pinball gaming right there. I mean, that, you know, there's literally nothing else on the market of a similar type product that even comes close to what this thing offers and at the price that it's running at. Is the Legends Pinball ideal for everyone interested in virtual pinball? Well, the shorter answer is no. It's not a bad thing. It's basically, I'm saying is any of you guys who are, more of a pinball purist, you have no interest in arcade games, you want something that looks like a full-size cabinet with real pinball hardware, 4K display, all the feedback and lighting options. It's not targeted towards you guys. It's not meant for you guys. The Legends Pinball is an ideal solution for those who just want a ready-to-go solution. No fuss, no muss. They don't want to build a cabinet. They may not want to build a PC right away or have a PC to use, and they can still play some great virtual pinball games right out of the box. But they have expandable options for more games in the future. And then if they do have a PC down the line, they can plug one in and still have the option to play all the great pinball PC games that are out there. If there's someone who maybe likes to mod, they like to tinker, this is a great option that allows them to do that without being a great woodworker or electronics engineer. It's a great entry. In closing, never judge a product by my experiences alone. Always do your own research, guys, and be up to date and better informed. Updates and fixes for the Legends Pinball may have occurred after this video was posted. There are lots of users in the community groups that have been using this product much longer than I have, and they may have helpful info. That brings this video to a close, guys. Watch my other videos coming out that will cover the VIBS add-on option, which will also show how I use PC pinball games with the Legends Pinball, and as well as another video that will cover the arcade control panel add-on option. Once again, I'd like to thank AtGames for providing the Legends Pinball to play around with. Thank you, AtGames, and I will see everyone else in my next video.